you could just be musicians. You don't have to worry about all the rest of it. Just it's going to be okay. You have enough to worry about just having to remember what you're supposed to be playing, and you guys haven't rehearsed in like 3 months and you're all right here and you're just trying to figure, like the one thing you don't have to worry about sound. It's going to feel good. You can just play, enabling them to just play and have the sound system get out of the way of what they're doing.
Do you feel like an artist, or would you consider what you do to be creative?
One headset in here, we're going to hear the piano.
Yeah, as I was alluding to a little bit there.
I wouldn't mind hearing, like, now that
Do I think of myself as an artist? Absolutely, I think of myself as an artist. It's like the fifth member of the band.
I like that guy. This guy's like a whole comedian.
Yeah, that's
Makes a big bluegrass festival in the summertime for however thousands of 10,000 something people, whatever. And it's like you could feel it. You're actually creating their experience in an acoustic situation. It's more delicate and can be more kind of finesse. How did I decide what here's the thing, is I came out to University of Massachusetts. I was studying music. And while I was going to school for extra money, I was working. I found out, wow, I can work at the Fine Arts Center production services and be crew for shows and stuff. Awesome. So I went on down there and signed up for calls and kind of hovered in the sound kind of camp. There were the lighting people, the sound people, all different kind of people would head in different directions. And I learned there how to do what I do for a living. Setting up for shows, doing sound for shows, lights for shows, doing that. So basically there was an audio director there who's since retired, who kind of took me under his wing, and he'd showed me a lot of stuff, and he'd just kind of leave me there and say, okay, fly the plane, good luck. And I'd have to fly it and land it, and I have to deal with the whole thing. He'd basically leave. He'd very often just drive away. He'd just be gone. It was amazing. I was like, now when I look back, I'm like, I can't believe he did that. He just basically said, here you go, and I had to do the whole show. So it was good. It really set me up for, when I finally had graduated. It was, I could mix, I could work. Doing what I did, I had actually a lot of skill. I had a lot of, experience. And I'll say this while I'm saying this. I told you that to tell you this. Over in the dance program, for instance, here at Hampshire College, it's a requirement that dance concentrators do tech work as part of their concentration, like as part of their requirements. I don't know if there is that in music, but I've always kind of created that over here in the music side of the building here at Hampshire, that I've always felt like as musicians, it makes such a big difference to be on the other side of the tech, like to run the sound or to I really see the need for musicians, that a musician having had the experience to be the recordist or to be the sound engineer or to run the lights even or anything. As a musician, when you're on stage and you look over to the guy's feet, doing your on-stage monitor mixing, and you say, yeah, I need a little more of my guitar, can you take out like 300 cycles, somewhere around that, a little bit, that they're like, oh, yes, of course, as opposed to, I don't know, if sounds really tubby or muddy, so it's a very different thing, and having that experience, having provided these services and having done these kind of operations for for musicians on stage, you know, when you're the musician, it makes a huge. I think it's imperative for music students to have experience as crew and as technicians and sound and recording people and all that. And light people, and they do that over in dance too. As I say, over in dance, it's a requirement that they do this, and I help those folks along because they show up there going like, yeah, I don't know, this is a requirement. I have no idea, and you know, what do I do? And it's great because they really learn. By the end of the little production that we're doing, they're like, wow, this was amazing. I really get this. I never knew this whole thing existed as a dancer or as a musician, and you know, it's been great. People really they get a lot from it, and I you know, it's critical, I think. So it's been great to be able to bring that to you know, the music and dance students here at Hampshire for sure, and I know they're appreciative. You know, and my recording. Like my recording independent studies, you know, they're just in demand. People just want to know about all that stuff as musicians. They just want to, like, what is all this? And so they can bring it to their own music and bring it to their own, you know, even just sketches or just, you know, where you know, just kind of messing around. They can bring so much more to it. But certainly as like, oh, I'm going to go in and record something, you know, having gone through, like, you know, one of my independent studies, for instance, where we, you know, just kind of listen to all these mics and do all this comparison, and you just learn all about, you know, mic placement and do recordings and mix it all down and mess with it all. You know, it's great. You know, they come out of that having such a an advantage. You know, as musicians going forward, it's awesome. It's great to see it. I see the lights go on. You know, they're like, wow, okay, got it. And, you know, and I also see people take this stuff and run with it. There's like a good 4 or 5 people I could name right off the top that have careers in audio, that were working as little crew people with me here at Hampshire College and went off to do what they're doing today. It's cool. It's nice to see. It's great. They come back and visit sometimes. Hopefully.
How does Larry contribute to your work?
He helps keep me sane, and I, you know, as much as anyone can. It's great to know that he's always very concerned that we be able, the professors here, be able to teach without encumbrances. So he's very concerned that everything worked technically. He helps is concerned. We talk with him about as things come up with students, and positive and negative, or not even positive, negative. He's part of the discussion at times. He often knows students in a way we don't. And he contributes a lot because we share, we're very good friends. And so we just share, we keep each other's spirits going, we share jokes and laughs. He's a great colleague to work with. He gives 1,000% to the school. I taught here when there was no Larry, and I can tell you that the difference is stark. I do not want to return to those days of darkness.
I am a technical director for music and dance at Hampshire College.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What brought you to Hampshire?
You know, the need to get off the road. I'd toured with Ida Franco for years and years, and just I did all kinds of stuff. Newport Folk Festival, Great Fox Bluegrass Radio, all this. Worked, you know, 90-hour weeks, oftentimes for many years in a row, and you know, I started, you know, having a family, and realized I needed to, you know, not just be gone all the time and doing the kind of regimen that was required working at a sound company like that, and started looking around for jobs, and this one popped up, and really had my name on. I mean, I read the job description. I was like, oh, come on, this is ridiculous. And it's at Hampshire College, which I was kind of an honorary member of anyway. I mean, I went to UMass, but I played in bands back then. We'd played the Red Barn. We just lived in the sauna for days and days on end, and so I it was like kind of coming back around to where I'd come from back in college many years later. I was like, wow, Hampshire College, come on. And there was nobody here doing what I do. I wasn't replacing anybody. They just were like, there's nobody here doing anything in the music and dance building. I think it had to have been what was going. I have no idea how they were doing everything. But I came in and was brought all of my experience with me. I could see very clearly what was going on here regarding music and dance operations, and I just kind of created really all these systems for everything happening, and based on the needs of the students and the faculty in this building. And there were some generous donors around that time that gave some money. I was able to get a lot of the equipment in the recording studio and in the recital hall where a lot of the music events are, and filled out the dance programs stuff some, and we basically built something that was serving the needs of the student body and the faculty, and just anything music that was happening here in this building.
It's a long list. He is invaluable. He is a central part of our work here. His contribution goes beyond his job description. He does his job description, which is coordinator. I don't know exactly how to say it, but he coordinates performance, many activities for both the music program and the dance program, and is involved in all their public performances, the sustaining of their workspaces. Larry is also a very caring and concerned person for the students. He has also taken on some pedagogical roles, in particular in relation to music recording and to the work he does with training students themselves to be skilled in handling sound and lighting and other logistics involved in performance, whether that be music, dance, or theater. And he contributes greatly to the community.
My process for setting up a show. I took some notes. I was thinking about like, what do I do? And it really depends on how much time I have as to what my process is. But if I had all the time in the world, I would, in a place like this, the sound system is mostly set up anyway, but there's still parts of it that would need to be set up. But basically, I set up the sound system, and then I test all zones. And what I mean by all zones is, there could just be kind of left and right for everybody to hear, but in a bigger place, there could be zones that go all the way back, like delay zones. Like in a big stadium, there's tiers of speakers that all get delayed and cover a huge long area. There's also other zones, even in a small thing. There's onstage monitor mixes that I would consider all zones of a different speaker enclosure that is maybe sounding independent from another one. So I'd set everything up. I would test and confirm that all zones work, and then I put on music that would just that's always been my favorite thing. I find like that one I can listen to what they're doing while they're playing and soundcheck. If oftentimes I've never heard these people before, and they just show up and I go, oh, okay. And so I'll get a sense of where they're going, and I'll find just the right. Hopefully, I have it, but I just put on some music that would serve the people kind of coming in, that it sets it up in a good way. So I'll put on that music, something if I have it, and some kind of audio wallpaper. That people just feel good coming in, and then we do a show, and then when it's done, I'll maybe put a little something on at the end so people go out and they feel good and they go, oh yeah, whoa. Sometimes they'll even come up and go like, what song is that? Who put this? What is this? That's always nice. I like that. Because I put a lot of thought into it. I spend like most of the show, really all I'm thinking about is like what I'm going to play at the end.
When I'm way up top some mountain high, it's just me, the sun and sky, no second thought or fear. That's when I know you're